Hi, John Shimko here. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2020-2021 version of our Industrial Arts Art Show, a display of students' works that were made from February, completed by June 21st, or projects that were started last year, never completed because of our March 13th hiatus, and completed this year. What you're going to see is a collection of works by students, some first year who had never been in the shop before. Those will be the footstool projects. And I must say they did an incredible job. I tip my hat to upperclassmen, people who have been in the shop before, whether they were in for 1, 2, or 3 years previous. All those students who were in person were able to complete projects, whether they were started last year or something that they started this year and finished. It's important to understand that we didn't come back to school until February 1st, which meant virtual from September to the end of January meant no physical working time. So it's pretty amazing to think that in the last, February, March, April, May, and a little bit of June, in those 4.5 months, all of this work was completed. And the standards were incredibly high. The good part about COVID was that the class sizes were tremendously reduced. So if a student was in this class, they had a limited class grouping, which meant they had more personal instruction, more time for themselves, even though the class periods were only 30 minutes long. And remember, we didn't start 5 days a week until after spring break. So my hat gets tipped to all of these students that have displayed work here. The quality was unbelievable. And when I look at it, so many of the first year students hopefully come back next year to enjoy a real school year with 44-minute periods, and something that starts from September and ends in June. I hope you enjoy all the works. I hope you see some things that you might have made or perhaps are in your possession in your house. Let's hope that next year gets a little bit better. Let's hope that we're all together and we've learned that we truly have to appreciate all the things that we have, all the things that we've taken for granted. The thought of being grateful, the thought of being appreciative, the thought of relishing and treasuring all our things that we truly don't think are ever going to go away certainly could one day disappear from us. So let's take a look at some nice projects and see what you guys think. I thought it was a great year. Wow. So I think you'd agree with me. There's some pretty amazing projects that were made this past year. Really difficult circumstances. When I think back and I watch that video, I see Ryan Vail's entry bench, which he painstakingly took such a long time to work, but it was always a question how it's going to come out. He puts the last piece in and it looks really great. Tamer Saad, his Adirondack chair, working a year and a half on that baby to get everything absolutely precise. I think of the duo of Chloe Cassidy and Salma, almost like they complement each other, but they provided leadership. Chloe making a wonderful pictured frame for her new family, something for her mom and dad's wedding, her stepmom and dad's wedding. I think of making a hand mirror at the last bit of the year. Salma going through the shop, always cleaning up. When you look at that video, Marvin Morales with his cabinet that he made for his grandparents, the poplar and the white, and the way he integrated that. When you think of the effect that he had on Damion Evans, who could be the best student in the shop, could be a challenge student in the shop. He took it upon himself to finish his brother's project that was started last year and did a great job by leaving a beautiful piece of oak as the finished top. I think of Aidan Shay with his cherry short table. I think of Isabel Scricco, about the same size short table as Damion, but everything was painted black, something we never did in here, and it worked. It came out great. Kaylee Tufaro making her 3-year-old relative a sign that little girl is going to treasure for the rest of her life, in addition to knocking off a hand mirror before the end of the year. I think of Vincent Brito taking a short table, and we got a special piece of tiger oak that looked absolutely outstanding, almost looked like a hologram. And the way he stained it, if you look at that project at different angles, it actually looks like the tabletop is moving. Aidan Tunison, the Tunison tradition of oak, cherry on a short table, and never oak if he's a Tunison. Isabel Parcells completing her oak short table after she had glued up a top the year before and it went missing. So what does she do? Complain about it, cry about it, moan about it? No. Let's just solve the problem. She took a couple of pieces of wood, put them together, glued them together. In the short time she had, she completed her project and did a great job. Short table, Kayla Roberts, who was able to make a project out of poplar, stained it, and it came out so outstanding. Those are all those advanced people. And there's more people that I just can't name, but this is off the top of my head as I watch that video. Then I think of all the kids with those footstools as a first-year project, with the little time from February until June, and some 2 days a week for a bit, and then 4 days a week for a little bit, and then 5 days a week for the rest of the year with only 30-minute periods. I think of John Gallego, Dylan Knechtel. I think of Maria Lockhart, Jeremias, Martinez, Rachel Villabos, Cara Tambori, Dan Sajjad, Eileen Morales, Linda Gonzalez, Jessica Perez, Matt Wohl, Ben Garber, oh my goodness, Camille Ortega, so excited, Camilla Ornetta finally getting her project done. Nick Ciccolella was a great addition to the shop, as well as Jason Scott, because both those first-year freshman students were not only able to complete a footstool, but they were able to get one of those wine holders. I want to make mention of a whole group of students that you guys haven't really heard of, who instead of working on a personal project for themselves, devoted so many hours to what we refer to as the Comfort Stone Project. And it was small little 1 3/4 by 2.5 inch long pieces of poplar that I machined and they had to sand with 220 grit, 400 grit, 600 grit, and start the whole thing off with the 120 grit process and get it into a certain shape, almost like an egg. So if you were to grip this thing, it would comfort you. Those are all going to be, and there turned out to be about 150 of them, all going to be donated to the assisted living and senior citizen housing around the areas. So the seniors can relax by simply rubbing onto this stone and feeling comfort, and it really does work. But we had a whole group of students take care of that, and they knocked off their community service project hours simply by working hard on completing those comfort stones. I want to make mention last of several students here, 4 of them as a matter of fact. And I'll end my presentation with things that I didn't make, they made for the shop. Over the summer, and this is the trying times of COVID, I was visited by 2 people, Senior Jeff Mann, Senior Isabel Parcells, who brought to me a sign that they had put together, a round sign of Shim's shop. And I was never so touched and moved by something, because it wasn't about me as much as it was how they felt about this place, how special it is. And that hangs right over our chalkboard for everybody to see. And added to that, Emily Thu, a tremendous student in here and someone who will attend Rutgers University, contributed a little saying that was made. And it says that a life should not be based on regrets. Something we talk about in the shop all the time. If you truly, in your heart of hearts, feel a passion, you need to pursue it. If it's woodworking, if it's helping others, if it's in the sciences, an English field, anything that you feel that passion, don't regret it when you come back and you're my age, in your 60s, and say, you know, I should have. You got to go for it. And it's one of those things where you want to choose wisely, and if you do, you really don't live a life of regrets. And finally, Jason Scott, who did such a great job on 2 projects, a footstool and a wine holder, and the last day of school came back and gave me something that meant so much to me. He knows how I feel about our country. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And I always say that in our shop. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. Doesn't matter if you have hair or no hair. Doesn't matter if you're tall or short. I always say to my students, our common denominator is that we all bleed the same blood. We are one in here. We are woodworkers. And Jason Scott contributed something that him and his dad put together, and that was a beautiful American flag that I have proudly displayed next to our flag. And it always means so much to me because I really truly feel that this country is special, and understanding that all my students make up a shop that is as unique and special as our country. With that, I'm going to bid you guys a wonderful summer, wrap up 2021, and look ahead to better times. I wish you peace, I wish you health, and I wish you happiness as you go forward. Have a great day, a great summer, and I look forward to seeing you if you're back in the shop again next year.